Hello everyone, welcome to my channel The Cloud Box, and this is the next video inside the Databricks playlist. And in this video, we are going to discuss about the most important topic in day-to-day activities. But before I start the video, let me introduce my channel. You will find the channel name is The Cloud Box, and here I upload video related to the Databricks, Pyspark, Python, SQL, Azure Data Factory. Not only video related on the fundamental concept, you will find a lot of videos which deals with real-time interview questions or day-to-day activities which we are implementing in the project level. Here you will find a different kind of playlist. Here I upload video related to on the Databricks playlist, Data Factory playlist, and the data flows and the some basic videos. So here we can start. If you are new to this channel, so just hit like and subscribe so you will get a notification and you will part of the journey of Azure Data Engineering. If you are new or if you want to upskill your life into the Azure Data Engineering or through the Databricks engineering, so this video is going to helpful and my channel is really going to help you a lot. So before wasting any further time, let us start the video. And the topic is what is pivot and unpivot function in SQL, but how we are going to use in the Databricks SQL as well as PySpark, how we are going to implement pivot unpivot in Databricks. Okay, so let's open one Excel we have prepared. But before you write a code exactly, so we need to understand what is the pivot and what is the unpivot. Okay, so if you collectively see, this is a normal data which looks like employee name, employee ID, and month and a bonus. So let's say I have two employees, okay, one is Alex and one is Charles, and both and their employees IDs are 101 and 102 respectively. And these two employees has done a sales on respective months, let's say 1000, and let's say Alex done the sales of 1000 rupees in the January month, and he did the sales in Feb month of 1200, and Charles also did 1500 in January month, in 1800 in the February month. Okay, but here we see this data looks like a repetitive data, like ID is getting repeated, obviously month is getting repeated, and obviously the name itself. So why cannot we make a table which looks like a more aggregated data rather than a repetitive data? So here are things come into picture, that is pivoting. Pivoting, it means if you see this kind of data which we have, these are the row level data, right? So if you see there's a month column, in a month column we have January, Feb, and then again Jan, and then again Feb. What about we take this from a unique value, let's say January and Feb, and we map with a column, not with a row, right? So let's say we have a Jan and we have a Feb. This is the value in one column, that is a month, right? And I want to take the values from the column and I want to map the column values to column name. Okay, so let's say I want to map it something like Jan is a one column and Feb is a one column. So basically this transformation, we say this is something called pivot. Okay, understand, right? So similar way we can say, if you are reading the definition, that's it's convert row into column. But what exactly it does, it speaks the unique value from row and it's mapped to the column name. That's the pivot. Okay, so in a similar way, what is the unpivot? Okay, so if you see the definition, pivot something you understood, right? And what about the unpivot? Unpivot is basically does opposite of pivot. Let's say I have a data which is more aggregated form, right? But I want to make it in a original form. Then what we have to do, we have to apply something called unpivot. So let's say it is going to take the column value and it is going to map to the row level value. It means its column name it's going to take and it's to convert to the column value. So let's say this Feb and Jan it's going to take, and here it will create a separate column name month, and here it will pass like Jan and Feb. Okay, so this is something called unpivot, and we will see practically in the Databricks how actually we can achieve it. Okay, let me quickly open the Databricks community version. If you do not know how to use it, so let me restart my cluster. Okay, and we are going to see through the Pyspark and the Databricks SQL how exactly we can go ahead and implement what is the pivot and unpivot. So let me first start with pivot. Okay. Okay. So what I can do, let's say I need to create a data frame first. Okay. So for the creation of data frame, what we can do, we can take some sample data. Let's say I can take a sample data. So in a sample data, what I can pass, let's say data is equal to, so sorry, in a data, let's say I can pass something called name as Alex. Okay, the same data which we are written there, we are going to pass, and his employee ID is something like 101, and it's let's say month is basically January, and bonus is something 1000. So in a similar way, we have to pass one more value, right? So we are going to take a nested tuple, right? You can say, or you can say list, right? So what we can do in the next, again we are going to make this Alex. Let me copy and paste this so it would be easier. So let me copy and paste, and I'm going to change this month, and I'm just going to change the amount. Okay. So in a similar way, let me copy and I'll change everything here. So let's say I have changed the name. So name would be something called Charles, and ID is obviously is going to change, and he has done a sales in the January month, something around 1500, and in the Feb, let me copy this one more time. So now, and in the Feb, he has done a sales of, so 1800. Looks like we have successfully created the data, and let's remove the column from last line. Okay, fine. No, it will be there. Okay, fine. So let me, what I can do, let me create a variable called columns, and here what I'm going to pass, I'm going to pass something called employee name, and then I'm going to pass something called employee ID, and here I'm something going to pass something like month maybe, right? And here I'm going to pass something called bonus, right? And let me make this also in a double quote so it would be easier. Okay. Now everything looks good. Now I have to create a data frame. So let me create a data frame, that is df is equal to a spark dot create data frame. Sometimes it didn't give the auto suggestion, but it's fine. And here what I'm going to pass it. So we are going to pass, let's say data is equal to data, and let's say columns is equal to columns. Okay. So now if I do that, so I can see, let me display the data also. So the moment we see it, we can actually see that data got created. Okay, so let me do one thing. Data is equal to data, and okay, let me remove this data is equal to data. I'll simply pass columns. Okay. Now, if I see that, so we can see easily our data got created here. Now, this is the original data, what we are seeing it here. Okay. This is a normal data. And now we are going to apply the pivot function. So how we are going to apply pivot? Okay, so let me copy this. Okay, now let's say I'm going to apply the pivot function here. Okay, so pivot is really simple in the PySpark. There is a direct pivot function we have. So let's say pivot underscore df is equal to the original data frame, right, which we have. And let's say I can use the group by. I'll tell you the reason why we have to use it. So let's say I am going to use the group by on the employee ID, sorry, employee name and the ID both. Okay, and let's say I'm going to use the on the employee ID also. Okay, now if I let me, okay, fine, and now I have to exactly use the pivot function here. Okay, and let's come to the Excel. Okay, so once we are using the pivot, we are removing the duplicates data probably, and we are making it more aggregated form. So whenever we are using aggregated data, we have to use the group by or the partition by, right? So here what we are going to do, we have to apply the group by based on the I mean, to one or more unique column based. Let's say we have to identify unique records, right? So in the group by, we have employee ID we can pass, and we can pass employee name. Okay, now let's say, and on which column we have to apply, that's the pivot function. Okay, which column value is going to convert into the column name. So I can see values in a month is going to convert into the corresponding column names. Okay, so in a similar way, I have to apply pivot function on a month, and it's uniquely going to take all the respective values in that particular column, and it's going to create a column name for that. Okay, so let's say here what I can do, I can pass simply a month column. That's the month column which we have passed it here. Okay, and now once you have used the group by, so probably you have to use a aggregate function, right? So let's say I have to do the aggregate. So let's say this collectively Alex, okay, completed the sales in all the January month. So what we have to do, I have to take only, I mean, this let's say, I mean, how much he has done the sales in the January and the in or in the Feb month, right? So collectively, I have to tell it, right? So if you see Alex, January and Feb, how much sales he has done it, right? So if you see Alex, collectively, he has done the sales of 1200, and in the January, he has done the sales of 1100. So we are aggregating the data, right? So here, what we have to do, you have to use the bonus column here. Okay. So let's say here I have to use the bonus column, and let's say I'll pass the display, and in the display what I'm going to pass, I'm going to pass this pivot date. Got it? So let me run this. So if you see, our data is more aggregated form rather than duplicates data. So it was coming Alex two times, then employee ID was also coming. So we have taken unique records, and we have taken this value to, and we have actually removed the month column. So instead of month column, we have more aggregate, we have data in more aggregated format like January, Feb, and something like that. Right? So you understood it, right? How we are going to use it through the PySpark. But many people are using through the SQL. So how we can use it in a SQL action. Okay, so let's say if I'm going to write the into the SQL, so what I can do, I need to first create a view on the top of this df, right? So what I can do, let me create a view. So what I can do, df dot create or replace temp view, and in the temp view what I can do, I can use something like sales data, and let me run this. Okay, so what I can do, I can take like select star from, sorry, not, I mean, sorry, it came by mistake. So let's say it came like select star from sales data. Okay, and now in the Databricks SQL, it's directly supports a pivot function. Okay, so in the pivot function, what I'm going to do, so it will also have a similar approach, but we are not going to write the group by, but here we are going to aggregate the data. So first it's going to do the summation of which column? Summation of the bonus column. Okay, summation of the bonus column, summation of the bonus column. And for, okay, and for which column it's going to take, let's say, let me explain the SQL syntax. Okay, it's going to do the summation for all the columns which involved in the month column. Okay, for all the value it's going to take, so it's going to iterate in this particular month column, and it's going to pick all the individual value. Okay, so that's why we have a syntax something called for month. Okay, then we have to write something called in operator, and we have to manually pass all the column name which is present. Okay, so let's say for Jan, and then we have something called Fab. Okay, so now this this works in uh, similar fashion. Okay, so let's say uh, so now if I'm going to run this, will it work? So now if you see this, we have a sales data. So let's say what I can do, let me do something called select asterisk from sales data. So you see actually we have the sales data something like that. Okay, we do. If you see our output is, I mean, main data is something like that, and we have applied the uh, aggregate function, so it is coming like this. So let me run the whole thing into one, so better you can see this. So now you see, okay, it's only executing the last one. My bad. So I mean, now we're able to understand, right? This is the unpivot data, and this is the sorry, this is the pivot data, and this one is the unpivot data. Correct. So now if I go ahead and implement how to implement the unpivot, let's say I have a data something like this, right? And on the top of that I want to apply basically the unpivot. Okay, but through the Pyspark, let me go ahead and create the same data. Okay, let me go ahead and create the same data. Okay, so now what I can do, let me go ahead and copy this. What you can do, let me create a sample data one more time. Sample data for unpivot. Okay. Now what I can do, let me create a data. So here, what I can do, I can pass something called name Alex. Okay. And Alex employee ID is 101. Okay. And he has done a sales of correspondingly, we will see this data something like that, right? And he has done a sales of 1000 rupees in 1 month and 1200 rupees in correspondingly 1 month. And similarly we have Charles, okay, and his employee ID is 102. He has done sales of 1500 in 1 month and 1800 in another month. Okay, now we have something called need to copy these columns and data, right? So what I can do, instead of this, right, what I can do, Uh, let me do one thing. Let me employee name, employee ID, and instead of month, right, we have something called Jan, and in the bonus we will have a Feb, right? Because in this bonus is going to map in these columns, right? So let me create this df2 something like that. Let me run this. Okay, now it got run. If I go to display the data and just I'll pass df2, so df underscore 2. So if I do that, so we can see this data is a aggregated data, and now we are going to apply basically the unpivot, and how we are going to do that. Okay, so even though PySpark doesn't directly support unpivot function, but we can achieve it using stack function or the one is more function, the lateral view, but we will cover it later. Okay, but in this video we are going to see how exactly we can write uh, the unpivot function, or basically the way around. Okay, so we need to use the select xpr. Okay, we need to write some expression. So in the expression we can, we can use that. Okay, so if I go ahead and do that. Okay, so here in the select xpr I want to pick which all column name, right? So I want to pick the employee name, right? And then I want to pick that the employee id, right? It's similar to select star, but we have to use it. So now I have to use uh, stack function. So stack function will come in the bracket. Okay, stack function is going to come in a bracket, and let me tell you, we have this column, right? These two columns we are going to convert into the row value, right? So there are two columns. Okay, now which all those two columns? Okay, so the we have something called the January data, right? So the January data will hold the January value, right? And the and basically the Feb data, it's is two. And uh, let me okay, so this January data is going to, this January column is going to hold the January data, and the Feb column, it's going to hold the Feb data, as let's say, as I have to tell you, like this will be a part of month column, and we will have a separate column as a sales. Okay, so now this two value is going to map to this month column, and this corresponding value is going to map to the sales column. Okay, now if I do that, so now what I have to do, I have to pass this display, and I have to use this unpivot, and maybe it will throw error because we have to define the select xpr, but let me see whether it is throwing or not. Okay, it's not thrown. So now correctly, we have correctly used it unpivot. We have transformed this pivot data to the unpivot. Okay, got it. But many people will say, okay, fine, but how we can actually use it in a SQL? So for SQL, let me do one thing, how we can do that. So let me create a view again, and create a replace temp view. And what I can do, I can use the unpivot data, something like that. And this is the view. So, okay. So let me go ahead and run that. Cool. So now I'm going to write a SQL for the unpivot. So if you I typically follow the SQL, so SQL has unpivot function, so we can directly use it. So which all columns we want to pick it. Okay. So let's say I want to pick the employee name. Okay. Now I'm going to pick the employee ID also. Okay. And I want to use the month also. I want to take, and I can take the sales also from the function, from the table which we have created, that is unpivot. Let me go ahead and actually do the query. So employee name, we have employee ID, and we have sales or bonus, something like that. It didn't run. One second. Okay, select month cannot be resolved, it is saying. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me query this, what the data is it holding, why it is not coming. So okay, got it. So we have this data, right? Okay, got it. So now I have to convert this into the unpivot data, right? So what I can do, I need to take the employee name first of all, right? And then I have to take the employee ID, right? And then I have to take a month, right? And I have to take, let's say, bonus, okay, the way which we are writing from this data, but we have to use the unpivot function here, okay, okay, because why it is not coming, you are passing the wrong column, and this column will be part of the unpivoted, and that's why. Okay, so now we have to map this bonus, right? We have to map this into the bonus. Okay, so what I'm going to do, bonus for month, okay, month in, we have to map this individual item, okay, Jan and Feb. Let me explain this query. Okay, so till here it's everything is crystal clear. We are using the unpivot function, and it's going to convert this Jan and Fab into the basically into one column. That's basically it's going to create a new column that is bonus, and in the bonus it's going to pick this value, okay, and it's going to map into the bonus column. Let me go ahead and run that. uh Something wrong, okay. Employee ID, employee name, employee ID, month, and okay, got it. So let me do with the sales. This is the wrong coming, but yeah, fine. I'll create a sales. Okay, what is the data here? Okay, got it. So employee ID, then employee. Okay, I have wrongly star mentioned here. So uh, from the unpivot data, so we have something called unpivot data, right? And okay, unpivot for something, it's giving. Okay, okay, got it. So this is SQL, right? We are not passing into a string code. Uh, Now it's correct. Okay. So now fine. I mean, you understood, right? We have this query, and in this query, we are going to use the unpivot function. And in this unpivot function, it's going to take all this value into this sales column, and it's going to map this individual value. Okay. So let's say we have a data something like this. So it's going to take this January, and then it's going to map with Alex. Again, from the fab, it's going to map with the individual rows. Okay. So, I mean, hope you were able to understand and relate the scenario, and we have implemented using this pivot and pivot using Pyspark code and as well as the SQL code. If you like this video, please do hit like, subscribe, so other people also can get basically benefited and they can learn it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Have a wonderful day.